The AllStar app, the #1 app in the business. UFC, Bellator, One Championship, PFL, and more. Get the app right now. Link in description. Sanford MMA now called Kill Cliff Fight Club. A lot of new faces on the team. How has the transition been for you?
Transition's been the same. I mean, the only difference was that like the gym was closed for about like a week and a half, and so we just found other places to train. Like they set us up with other like sister gyms in the area that would like open the doors for us. I'm like, yeah, you guys can come train here for the week while that gets built. And then also another cool thing that came out of the Kill Cliff FC was we got a lot of people from a lot of international fighters. Like they saw it, they're like, oh, I want to train there, I want to train there. And so we had like a KSW champion, Cage Warriors champion, a bunch of dudes my size that like gave me great looks, and it was such an awesome like opportunity to be able to train with all these dudes that I usually don't, because usually it's like the same guys that you train with. Obviously, it's your teammates. So it
Yeah.
was a great experience.
Yeah, the photo, man, that you guys put out, it was just like, whoa, I didn't expect so many guys. You know what I mean? You see the regular faces, but you guys did add a lot of international talent.
Yes, yeah, we have, and it's been awesome because like then you get different looks, and you get to learn different techniques from everybody else, and it's really an awesome experience to be at a place that for one it's like super close, or it's in Miami, or it's not in Miami, excuse me. um it's like right on the coast, and so it's very easy for international fighters to get to, rather than the gym being in like Colorado where they got to travel further. It's like a quicker flight, so I think that's part of the reason why.
You mentioned in a previous interview, I was checking out a different interview that you did, that fighters in the gym now they go a little harder since you're officially
Yeah.
a UFC fighter
Oh
to
yeah.
test
Oh yeah.
themselves, man. How has that elevated your performance on the mats?
It's made me push harder. It's made my rounds harder, made me more tired to be able to build up my cardio. It's been awesome, and you get a lot more respect. So like at the same time, while everybody's trying to kill you even more than before, now it's like they respect you at the same time. Like after you're done training, they like want to take a picture with you and stuff. And it's like, even though you just got to the UFC, they're like, they make it a big deal for you when you try to downplay it a little bit. You're like, oh yeah, I'm just coming to train, and so it's awesome. Definitely keeps me on my toes while I'm training. Like, you know, always like can't come in distracted. No.
Yeah, there's no time to breathe, huh? Did you do the same coming up though when you're in their position?
Oh yeah, 100%. Oh yeah,
So you
yeah, oh yeah,
understand.
yeah. I was because especially when I first moved here, I was I like when I first moved here, I was like, oh, I gotta impress the coaches to be able to make the team and all this stuff, and so I was going hard on everybody that I knew that had built some sort of like reputation from fighting. I was like, oh, I'm gonna go him this round, him this round, this round, and like, so yeah, no, it's probably all the payback from going hard on it, like trying to train very hard against a guy that's like not even in camp. Like just like a
Yeah.
guy that's like not even trying to have a good like trying to have like an easier day or something, and I'm like just trying to be trying to go after
Yeah,
him.
yeah, of course, man. October 29th, I feel like this is your UFC debut. This is at your weight class. You know what I mean? You're gonna face Christian Rodriguez. The man, he has a very high finishing rate. What is your breakdown of his style?
So his breakdown is that he likes to come forward, and he doesn't like a lot of distance between him and his opponent, and so honestly that plays well with my style as well. I don't like distance as well. I like to come forward. Like I've said in previous interviews before, I really think that this is going to be the fight of the night. He's definitely going to come in and not give up an inch. Neither am I. It's going to be a great fight. He brings a lot of tools to the table, but so do I. I think it's going to be fight of the night. We're getting that 50K. I'm telling you.
His UFC debut was against Jonathan Pierce last February. You know, they went the distance. What was your assessment of that performance? Did you feel like you saw the best version of him?
Again, that's a hard question to answer because it was up a weight class as well, and so weight does have, um, you know, some things to do with it. Um, I think he did perform well in that fight. He definitely showed some holes with his grappling abilities. He does have great submissions off his back, but he does like to give up his back a lot whenever he is in transitions. And I think JSP it also brought out the dog in Rodriguez as well. You can see that he likes to fight. He comes to fight, and that's exactly the matchup that we're looking for. Um, yeah.
That was his first professional loss, and it was on the biggest stage of the sport. When you suffered your first professional loss, how did you handle it?
Oh, I took the loss. I took a loss hard on myself, to be honest with you. But then at the same time, whenever you're fighting dudes who don't have a name yet, you don't know, like, you don't think of it. Like, okay, so for example, whenever I fought Ronnie, let me try to, like, better way to explain this. I fought Ronnie Lawrence before he was like Ronnie Lawrence, before everybody knows who he was in the UFC. So whenever I fought him before we fought, I was like, oh, this guy's 4-1. Oh, he's lost before. Like, I'm 2-0, even though I'd only fought Cans before. And I was like, oh, I'm gonna come in here and destroy him. And he ended up winning the fight. And and then he became, who Ronnie Lawrence is, Dana White saying he's special, all these things. And so it was like, man, kudos to you, Garrett, for fighting tough competition. For a majority of my fights, I have fought guys with winning records, guys at like 4-1, a couple of 4-1s, 10-5, 6-3. Tough dudes all the way around. I think that obviously JSP was Rodriguez's biggest test once he gets to the UFC, and I'm not talking better down on his skills whatsoever. He's a very talented fighter, but his fights before he gets to the UFC, they weren't the toughest competition. Obviously it's the building stage of your career. I did it as well, but at the same time, I did take a couple losses before I got to the UFC. But if you also look at the guys that I fought some, some real solid guys. And so, again, it's great learning experience. Taking losses before the UFC. But yeah.
And what's wild about that is Ronnie Lawrence is one of your closest training partners now.
Oh yeah, he's coming with
right?
me to Vegas too.
Yeah, that's so wild.
Yeah.
Like how you like that experience can lead to you riding the roller coaster with them. You know what I mean, of the UFC.
Yeah, exactly. And like we hit each other up every single day. I'm always texting him. See him at the gym. It's a beautiful thing that the sport brings people together. And it's such a close niche community. And like you can meet, like I've met dudes, like 3 years ago training. And then I'll run into them at Hillcliff FC and be like, oh, I met you before, blah, blah, like all this stuff. Or like, and then another thing I've noticed is that everybody knows or has fought against somebody that like no matter what, like the connections are so so close together.
Yeah, that 6 degrees of separation. You know what I mean? Like you're connected to everybody in this game. It is a small world when you really look at it. Your UFC debut, it was at featherweight against David Oyama. Super short notice fight. Take us into your mind when the bell rang for the first round, because that was like right when you became a UFC fighter.
Yeah. Man, I had fun in there. I had so much fun in there. It was like a lifelong dream, a lifelong goal, and I got there. And at that time, I felt like I put more pressure on myself when I wasn't in the UFC, because I was like, I have to win this to get to the UFC. And now that I'm there, it's like I just have to perform. And I went, the fight obviously didn't go my way. I ended up losing in the second round, but at the same time, like I came to fight, and I personally think I won the first round. And just like my mindset going into it, I was like, honestly, I was cool, calm, and collected. I was stoic to be there. I was so excited to be there. I was trying to soak in every single opportunity, every camera, every light, every single person. I was trying to soak it in, because this is a memory that you never want to forget, that you never will forget. And so
yeah, there's a lot of emotions, right? A lot of different emotions all coming at one time.
Yeah, of course. And even though it was short notice, like I fought David before, so I was like, oh heck yeah, now it's now it's time to get my revenge, because he beat me in my last amateur fight. So I was like, oh, okay, now it's my time to show him how much I've evolved. And I really do believe that I showed that I belong in the UFC. Granted, lost by submission, but at the same time, I like to fight and I like to come forward. And it was a fun fight.
After the fight, what did you feel like you needed to work on or to elevate yourself?
To elevate my game, I really feel like I needed to work on my my wall grappling, like my cage grappling. Um, I feel like that's definitely where I needed to improve the most. Is definitely on the defensive aspect of it. So I've spent a lot of time, spent a lot of drills working with, some of the best guys that are at that area fighting, and so I really worked on that part, and yeah, it's been great.
Have you decided to like maybe add anything to your regimen, your weekly routine, or take anything out to balance your life?
Um, I mean, to balance it more, I stopped working for this fight camp, so I could fully focus in on training. And wow, I now that I'm only training and like I'm exhausted from training, it's like, wow, how did I go work like 30 hours a week while training just as much? And honestly, it's kind of like a double-edged sword because I think work kept me from overtraining because there's a couple of times when I call myself over for training during this fight camp, and like they got to tell me to like slow down, like hold back a little bit, like take the day off. Whereas like I was forced to take days off because of work, even though it wasn't really a day off. And so yeah, so that's like probably the biggest change is that I definitely added more time for recovery, more time for myself. Definitely um, did a lot more like muscle work, body work, like getting more massages, focusing more on recovery. Kind of the stuff that you, it's like you like neglect because of ignorance. Like you don't know that how important it is until you feel a certain way from doing all the recovery, and then you're like, wow, like again, like wow, how did I make it this far without it?
Yeah, yeah. Recoveries. There's a lot of people say recovery is the hardest part of fighting.
Yeah, it is because it takes you got put in like an hour or more a day of recovery.
And you gotta be calm. You know what I mean? It's not like something that like because you're always fast. Everything's moving fast. Training's fast, and yeah, it's pretty insane. Like I was training, and then I didn't train with the recovery, and then I added the recovery because I'm getting older, and it just makes a huge difference. For me, I'm just a regular person, that trains a little bit. How do you expect to pick up your first victory, man, in that octagon?
The first victory, it's going to be an accumulation of hard work. I'm going to outwork Christian Rodriguez. It doesn't matter if it's by finish, by knockout, submission, or decision. I'm going to walk away with my hand raised. I'm definitely going to have to dig deep for this one. So I said, we're going to meet in the middle of the cage, and it's gonna be a great fight.
All right, man. October 29th,
October
UFC
29th,
Fight
yes,
Night
sir.
in Las Vegas. If you want to know more about the event, go download the AllStar app. It's in the descriptions. Thank you, Garrett, so much for the time. And yeah, all the best in the fight.
Thank you so much, Tom.